Alright folks, welcome back. For this video, we'll take a closer look at the T54E2, a premium tier 8 American heavy tank. It's not a medium, even though historically, it's a conventional turret design counterpart to the T54E1, its brother at tier 9. So instead of an autoloader and the oscillating turret, it gets a conventional tank design with a single shot version of the gun and a conventional turret. So this vehicle was meant to replace the M48 patent, but they never went with this and gone to the T95 project, which led to the M60 development and yada yada. But Wargaming has classified this vehicle as a heavy tank, similar to the Jumbo Pershing, the T26E5. But ironically, in the historical reference or the description of this vehicle, it's a medium tank. It's actually heavy in the game files, but that's disappointing. So there are a few things that's grinding my gears about this tank. It's not about this vehicle in particular, but about the way that this vehicle is being implemented by Wargaming. So we'll take a look at the visual model while I'll talk about my biases against Wargaming's way of implementing vehicles into the game files. But is that a milk can? Kind of looks like a water can or a milk can. Igloo. Interesting. But what's been grinding my gears about this vehicle is it's first of all a premium, and I don't like that because normally we want this vehicle as a tier 9 leading to the M60 A1. So a lot of players, myself included, wanted a second line of American conventional turret designed mediums leading from the T20 or the Jumbo Pershing. So we wanted a version of the T95E1 as a tier 8, a version of a piloted T26 or not piloted T23 at tier 7, leading to this vehicle at tier 9, and then a M60A1 version at tier 10. So that's a second line of American mediums, because Germans have two. One with the heavy playstyle, that's the E50, and the one with the lighter playstyle, I guess, of the Leopard line. And the Russians also have two, one with the normal and one with the rear mounted turrets. That's the A44 into the Object 416 and yada yada, but Americans don't have that. We only have one line of American mediums. The autoloaders don't really count because they led to a T57 heavy, so it's a hybrid line and weird. So yeah, we wanted a M60A1 line basically, but we are not going to get that with the implementation of this vehicle. So there goes some hopes of that line. Also, it's a heavy tank. It's not a medium. You have a lot of heavy tank candidates as a premium tier 8. Not using this as a medium is blasphemy. You have so many other candidates for heavy tank line that you could actually add a new line of heavy tanks for the Americans as well. You don't need this vehicle as a heavy, because recently there's the TS5, right? There's also a turreted version of that vehicle called the TS6 and the prototype called the TS2. Those could be, I don't know, premium tier 8 American tank destroyers? Sure. But there's also the TL4, which is similar to the TS versions, but it gets a turret and it has 105mm. So that could be a candidate for a heavy tank line or premium tier 8 heavy tank for the Americans. So there is the TL4 and the TL6. Also, you have crazy stuff at the end of the tech tree, like the the Fat Man Chrysler tank. I'll show you guys the pictures, obviously, but this thing is hilarious. It's a Fat Man Chrysler tank called the TV1. Yeah, nice. It's fucking amazing. But we don't have that. There's also a 175mm autoloader for the American heavy tanks design that kind of looks like the mill. There's no name for it, but the gun is called a T145 autoloader cleft turret that kinda looks like the Mill 2 or Mill 1. It's a 175mm autoloader. What the fuck? So as you can see, there are so many candidates for the heavy tank line and for a premium tier A heavy that you don't need this vehicle, the T54E2, as a premium heavy. That doesn't make sense. So these two things are grinding my gears about the implementation of this tank into the game files when there are so many other candidates. What is Gore Gaming doing? Obviously cash grab. Fuck! So let's take a look at the stats, but this vehicle has a crew of 4, so good for your T110E5 and your M103s. I think it's good for the M103. Do we need like 2 loaders? Let's see. Oh shit! You need a radio operator with 2 loaders for the T32. Oh, similar to the T26 as well. Yep, you need 2 loaders for the M103. And it's only good for the T110E5. And the T57 heavy. Alright, sure, but it's a medium tank, but you don't have enough crews for the lower heavy tanks. Other than the tier 10s. It's not exactly a good crew trainer per se for heavy tank crews. Namely because you're missing a loader and sometimes a radio operator. So that sucks. But here is the original stats from the Super Test server. So they obviously buffed the shit out of the DPM. They nerfed the alpha compared to the tier 9 version of the gun, but they buffed the DPM from 1768 to 2200. That is dramatic, super huge change, because 1700 DPM for a tier A heavy tank without armor is garbage. For a tier A medium tank, it's also garbage. So yeah, they buffed the aim time, they buffed the accuracy, they obviously buffed the DPM by a lot. So it's not exactly a heavy tank, it's a medium tank with a heavy tank logo. So play this vehicle similar to a medium tank. But 226mm of pen is actually pretty good for a tier 8 medium and a tier 8 heavy. Alpha is okay, 360, so could be better, but it's American. It's actually better than the 105, so the normal 105 that's on the T32s and the Chrysler Ks, so nothing to complain about. Reloads every 9 seconds with a rammer and vents, so that's pretty good. Turret traverse is pretty quick, 35.46, so for a heavy tank, that's quick. For a medium tank, that's slow. So this is a fat medium, light heavy, if you will. It's not exactly a heavy tank, but 2200 DPM. That is way better than the 1700. Way better. 0.38 accuracy into 0.36. That's also pretty decent. And 2.88 aim time into 2.4 seconds of aim time. Dramatically better. So they did buff the gun aspect ratio. They also buffed the dispersion too. A little bit, slightly. So taking a look at tanks.gg, but oh, they haven't updated tanks.gg. Oh no, but in the game files, they secretly buffed the stuff. That's fun. So yeah, firepower wise, it's a good medium tank gun. Yeah, it's a very good medium tank gun. But this is a heavy tank, so alright. Has a lot of health for a medium. It's okay health for a heavy, average-ish. Pseudo slightly below average, but hey, it's decent health for a medium. And armor wise, the turret armor front is very good, 250, but you do have the cupola, the M1 cupola weak spot that is pretty common for American tanks. So Like with the T71, the light tank uses also the same cupola design. The original M48 patent also uses the same cupola design, so you will be pinned and it will hurt. So here is the armor profile. 250 for the turret front. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's auto bounce for turret front, and normal shells will pretty much bounce all right off. But you do have the commander cupola, and that is huge. So 170, 75-ish millimeters effective. It's huge. It's weak. You'll be pinned. Alright, I mean, it's like with the T110E5. So if this cupola was like 220 millimeters, that would make it so much better. Or 230, but it's not. It's just shoot here and you pin. Hull armor is only 170 millimeters effective at the front. Lower plate 180. So without the sloping, it's about 160, 180-ish. So basically a medium tank's hull armor at the front. 152 sloped and rounded, but not that much effective. Side armor is 76. It is sloped downwards slightly, but aim above the tracks into the return rollers right here, and you'll likely pin. So side scraping is not that effective. Side of the turret is 140, so yeah, you bounce a few shells with the side scraping like this, but just aim for the cupola. And rear is 38 for the hull rear and 40 for the turret rear with the ammo rack right here. So wonderful. It's a medium tank. It's not a heavy. I want it to be a medium. Well, horsepower per ton ratio is above average because it's a medium, but for a heavy tank, you do need a lot of horsepower per ton ratio. Now, top speed of 45, that's pretty good for a heavy. That's okay for a medium. Return or reverse speed of 17, that's pretty good too for both medium and heavy. And hull traverse of 36.5, that's good for a heavy. That's kinda below average for a medium. So it's a fat medium tank that's disguised as a heavy. It's not as good as the Jumbo Pershing, I can tell you that much, but the buff to the DPM helps a lot. A lot! But the armor doesn't help. Like, you still be pinned all the time. Oh no! It has no camo! What? It's a medium! It's supposed to have better camo than a... son of a... Well, it's better than the 3 that's on the other heavy tanks, but still, that's still no camo whatsoever. Alright, and view range of 400 meters. That's good, but it's a heavy, so... I'll show you guys the tanks.gg stats, but they're not updated, so the dispersion is still the same, and it's pretty good shooting on movement. So 0.14 while moving, and while tank traversing, and 0.1 while turret traverse. That's pretty good. So terrain resistance is god awful. 1.34 for hard. That is horrendous. 1.63 for medium. 3.26 for soft. These terrain resistance values are garbage. This vehicle will get bogged down like freaking bricks. Oh no. That is terrible. It is a fat medium that's sluggish in a swampy ground. Oh my god. Alright, let's take a look at the gold shell. The gold shell is 255 millimeters of pen. So it's not great. It's not bad, but it's not great. Great would be like 300 millimeters of pen for APCR, but I think that's the same as the normal T54E1. Let's see. The gold shell for the T54E1 is 255, but it has better alpha, obviously. So, yep. Here are all the candidates, premium tier 8 American heavies they could choose from, as well as the Super Pershing, because I want to put the Super Pershing on, but it's a medium tank, it's not a heavy. Fuck's sake. Oh no, it has a lot of DPM, I give it that much. It has a lot more DPM than the likes of the Mutant M6 or the T34 for that matter. But I mean, just go with the Jumbo Pershing if you get the chance. The Jumbo Pershing will do you solid. It has the penetration and the DPM, close enough DPM, and the gun depression too. It just doesn't turn as fast as this thing, but the point is, with the Jumbo Pershing, the turret is very strong. With this vehicle, you have a cupola that you get pinned. Okay, who has the best horsepower per ton ratio? Chrysler K, obviously, but top speed is slightly faster than the Jumbo Pershing. Alright, hull traverse is faster. Alright, camo about the same as the Jumbo Pershing, but it has more view range. So 42 rounds of the 105 as well. Final verdict on the T54E2. If this is a heavy tank, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's not a heavy tank. If this is a medium tank, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's not heavy. It can't train your heavy tank crews. You're missing a loader. You're missing sometimes a radio operator. It's only good for tier 10s. Buff the cupola. If you buff the cupola to 230mm effective, it will be 8 for a heavy tank. It will be 8.5 for a medium. Actually, it will be very good for a heavy when you think about it. Couple that with the speed. Other than the hull armor, if you buff the cupola to 230, buff the upper plate to about 210mm effective, that would be an 8. That would be an 8.5. Actually, that would be an 8.5. But the only downside about this vehicle is upper plate, lower plate, cupola. The rest of the stats are decent for a heavy tank, but it's not heavy, it's a medium. So, for a medium tank, buff the cupola. That's it. You don't need to buff the upper plate armor. Just buff the cupola to about 230, 220. That would be a very decent medium tank crew trainer as well. But overall, like I said before the video started, in the beginning of the video, I have a few biases against this vehicle. Because the way Wargaming is implementing this tank as a premium heavy, I hate it. I hate it that it's not a normal tier 9 leading into the M60A1. I hate it as a heavy tank because we have so many other candidates that are far more interesting than this thing. So yeah, overall rating 7 out of 10 for a medium, 6 for a heavy. Like I said, biases, but if you guys like this, sure. But like I said, I can't give it so much respect because how frustrating it is not having it as a normal tank. That sucks. You have 2 lines of Germans, 2 lines of Russians with heavies and mediums, and sometimes tank destroyers as well. You only get 1 line of American mediums and 1 line of American heavy, and 1 pseudo hybrid line that doesn't matter much. It's autoloader, so it's more like a fat medium. But God, there's so many good candidates. Like I showed you guys with the pictures. There's the TV1 Fat Man. You can have that as a weird tier 10. That's a meme. I don't care. You can also have the 175mm Emil-esque of an autoloader system. There's also the T58 Heavy, which is basically like the T57 Heavy, except it has a 155 autoloader. that spews out 6 rounds. But we don't have those interesting vehicles. You're getting a medium tank as a heavy tank. It's super pissing you off, or pissing me off, but it's so frustrating. So there you go, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I love the look of this tank. It looks amazing. It looks a lot more detailed than the hybrid M48 patent with the T54E2's turret that's already in the game files. And this armor is also better than that vehicle. So we'll take a quick look at the armor yet again. But yeah, the turret front is very strong. I give it that. But there's a cupola, so you will be pinned in the cupola. The cupola is obviously a big ass weak spot. The hull front is not that thick. The beak is also pretty weak. The lower plate, unless you angle it, is only about 180. So a lot of the heavy tanks will pin your hull front. And if they cannot penetrate your hull, they'll try for your cupola. If they have no shots on your hull, they'll go for the cupola. Side armor is crap, don't even think about it. It's basically a medium tank. So it's still slightly better for the turret than the hybrid M48 patent and the T54E2's turret hybrid vehicle that's already in the game files. So as you can see, with this vehicle, the cupola is even weaker at about 93mm effective. Turret front is also weaker at 200mm for the cheeks. You can actually pin this turret front if you have high enough pin and proper direct hits. Hull front is about the same as the freaking tier 8. Yeah, it's about the same as the tier 8 heavy tank, quote unquote. God, this thing needs a buff. This thing really does need a buff. So there you go, folks. The T54E2. I want to love it. I really do. It's just not as good. 7 out of 10 for a medium. 6 out of 10 for a heavy. God damn. But there you go, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Growing inside this heart, when the wind changes course, when the stars align, I will reach out to you and leave the soul behind. When heavens divide.